Welcome to our Youth Council sit down with Alan Darfi, the CEO of Herefordshire FA. I'm Cameron Wood and I am the chair of the Youth Council, and today we are joined by...
I'm Dan Hoskins and I'm the vice chairman of Herefordshire FA Youth Council.
And I'm Alan Darfi.
So over to you, Dan.
Right. Hi Alan. Nice easy icebreaker question for you before we get all serious. Right. What is your favourite film and why?
My favourite film? Oh, that's a tricky one. I tell you what, it may well be Toy Story, and I'll tell you the reason why. So I used to love it as a kid, and I've now got 2 kids, and I can watch it with them. You know, a couple of years ago, I'd have said something like Goodfellas or Scarface, but I think I've gone a bit soft in my old age.
That is a really interesting answer because I wasn't expecting that.
Cam, it's always nice to go back to our childhood, reminisce old memories and all that lot.
Always. The thing is, as soon as you have kids, your life just changes and you have a very different approach to things. So my favourite film now is something that I can watch with them.
Why did you become the CEO of Herefordshire FA?
I've always worked in sport. I've been really lucky to always work in sport. It's something I'm really passionate about. I've worked in both grassroots and professional sport, and I was at a bit of a crossroads where I could have gone one way or could have gone the other. And I decided that, I had to sort of look myself in the mirror and say, what am I really passionate about? And it was grassroots rather than professional sport. So I was working for a professional sport at the time, rugby league. So I knew I wanted to get back into grassroots sport. So I wanted the right opportunity. I was pretty patient in waiting for that opportunity, and I wanted somewhere that that was known to have really good team members, really beautiful part of the country. At a point on a journey, so you don't want something that's a complete project way down the road, but you don't want something that's right at the beginning. I was aware of the fact that the 3G pitch had just been installed. I was aware that there'd been some personnel changes. I spoke to a number of people across the network, and it just became clear there's a really good opportunity. And everything that I was expecting from the organisation before I joined has been true. So. I've been really overwhelmed by the quality of the team that we've got here. I knew they were good before coming in. The facilities are excellent. We're having lots of really interesting conversations. So yeah, lots of reasons, all of which have turned out to be the right reason.
So Alan, do you think that Herefordshire FA is youth focused?
I'd like to think so. I think I'm, as with anything, I like to be the best, and I like to constantly strive for excellence. So we can always do things better. I think you look around the county FA network, lots of county FAs have a youth council as a bit of a tick box exercise. Lots of county FAs don't really give it the time it deserves. I know one of the first meetings that I had was with you guys, and we've caught up a number of times. Scott is really passionate about the youth council, and we get really good things from the youth council. In terms of kind of the wider game, it's an area that we're always looking at. We've just launched the new section on the website, which is based on feedback that we received from a survey that we sent out to all under 18s. Consistently, what came back was a more youth focused section of the website. So that's something that we've done. We've also surveyed our player development centre players. We always survey coaches and so on and so forth anyway, and that is all being reviewed at the minute in terms of how we can fit that into our existing kind of youth engagement strategy that we have. So yes, I'd like to think we are. As with everything that we do, I'm always striving to keep pushing us on, and I know the team are doing that as well.
Awesome. This is going to set you up nice and easy for the next question. Where do you see the Youth Council in the next 2 years?
I think just continuing the path that it's on. So, it does really good things. It's set up nicely. Obviously, there are some personnel changes coming along due to, not through choice, through kind of through ages, which is fine. That's just what happens. So just to continue that path that the Youth Council is on, becoming more and more engaged and more involved in everything that we do. We're looking at the minute in terms of the governance of the organisation, it's a key area that we're looking at, and I'd like to work out ways that we can continue that path of having the youth voice engaged at the very top level of what we do from a strategic and kind of check and challenge point of view.
So moving on, what has been your favourite thing that the Youth Council has done in your time as CEO of Herefordshire FA?
I think just the approach that the Youth Council has. So, coming up with really good ideas. I'm a big fan of the podcast, I must say. So I think if I had to pick one thing, it would probably be the podcast. I think you've had some really good guests. It's gone down really well. It's something that lots of other counties would love to be in a position to do and aren't. It's kind of best practice. So yeah, it's good. But there's lots and lots of things that the Youth Council have done which are good. It feels wrong to pinpoint one thing, but you've asked me to, so I have.
What's your opinion of youth leadership?
What's my opinion of youth leadership?
Yeah.
So it's really important. So, I was really fortunate that I've always had really good people to learn from and people that took me under my wing. It's just a really important area to get right, because there is a big difference between the stuff that people learn at school and the stuff that people learn at college and the skills that people need in what I would class as the real world. And there's a real gap there, and it's filled by a number of different things. And that concept of youth leadership and investing in youth and taking the time and effort to do it is so important, because we're in this key position where we're really fortunate that we have a youth council and we can provide that additional support. And you look at the members on the youth council at the minute, where they started on the journey and where they're ending up in terms of all the different bits and pieces they're involved in. I'd like to think, I say we, but Scott has played a really key part in developing the future leaders, because youth leadership is people who will be leading in 10, 20 years time. What am I, 37 now? I'll be 47, 57, and there'll be someone who you would class as the youth at the minute who'll be taken over in terms of kind of leadership roles. So yeah, it's crucially important.
What was your favourite episode of the podcast series, and why was it your favourite?
I thought the one on sexuality was really good. It's a difficult subject to talk about. A lot of the other subjects that were spoken about will come much more naturally. Obviously the disability subject comes very easy to talk about, because it's a subject that lots of members on the Youth Council know inside out. Sexuality isn't as easily spoken about, and it should be. And I thought the individuals that you had on the podcast were great. And I just thought it was just a good topic, and it was discussed very well and in the right way, and kind of leading the light, really. I say it's a subject that's not spoken about well. That's because I'm 37 years old. It is spoken about much more easily these days, and rightfully so. So it's just good to kind of see our youth council taking that subject by the scruff of its neck and doing a really good job on it.
We'll let you into a little secret. So the two guests that we had in that podcast episode actually are members of my other panel. So I chair the Football versus Homophobia Youth panel as well.
Yeah.
And we brought two of my other panel members in because they are passionate about the subject, and that was proven in the Football versus Homophobia Month of Action.
Yeah, definitely. And look, this is, I always talk about the power of football. So if you're trying to get a message across or trying to get people engaged in an activity, if you badge it with football, people have a very different approach to it. It's a nation's game. Everyone's got some kind of connection to it. Everyone has some kind of passion to it. So, if you are just talking about sexuality, it probably doesn't have the same power, for whatever reason that may be, as if you're talking about it from a football context. And that is a perfect example of the power of football. And it's something that I'm really passionate about in terms of us in the heart of the community making the most of that power of football. And, that subject was a really good example of it.
Thank you. So that is the end of our first interview with a member of Herefordshire FA. Today we've been joined by Alan Darfi, the CEO. We will be carrying out more of these interviews in the future.
Brilliant.